Welcome back to Crash Course Cooking. Today we're going to make some vegan chili. This recipe is adapted from theminimalistbaker.com. Let's get to it. I've got lentils. You can use organic lentils because that's what I found. The recipe originally calls for red lentils. Whatever. We'll worry about that later. I've got a white onion, a yellow onion, 2 red peppers. There's like a red pepper and a half because the other one was small. A nice jalapeno pepper. I de-seeded it mostly. If you like more heat, leave it in there. Or you could even do like a habanero or something like that. We're going to do 2 cans of diced tomatoes. You could get garlic. I couldn't find any, so I got this crushed garlic. We're just going to do a little bit of that, and then I can save it for later. Can of black beans, can of kidney beans, can of corn, and tomato paste. All we're going to need is a pan and a pot, so let's get started. First things first, we're going to saute our onions and bell pepper, not the jalapeno. So a little bit of olive oil, or you could use basically any oil you like here. Something with a nice flavor would be good because we're going to saute our vegetables to get a nice color on them and begin to caramelize the sugars, because onions and garlic are both part of the allium family, which is also the same family that lilies come from. Those have a lot of sugars in them, so we're going to start to develop those and caramelize them. So we need to start by sauteing them, and then they're going to end up in the pot with our jalapeno and garlic. Pro tip, when sauteing, I think you can kind of see it, you need your oil to be super hot before you put it in. You might kind of see it's kind of rippling a little bit, and it should move like water. So this is a little bit thick still, but we want our pan nice and hot. That way, A, it'll saute fast, and B, it'll be nice and aromatic. Nothing will stick to the pan. Another pro tip when you are sauteing, always season everything you saute. So a little bit of salt, a little bit of black pepper we're going to throw in. You can totally stir it with a wooden spoon, but if you want to, you can do the fancy cooking thing where you kind of like toss it in the pan. I can't remember the exact French, but saute means high heat and constant movement. So that's kind of the idea here. So to toss it in the pan, you don't need to do anything crazy, but you go over and flip up and back. And you kind of make a little circle, but you can't do it slow. So if you know what I'm talking about, great. If not, use a spoon. Small potatoes. Make sure you season this really well. Taste it as you go. Okay, so we added our sauteed veggies into the pan. We added 2 cans of tomatoes, about 2 tablespoons of crushed garlic, a jalapeno, 2 tablespoons of chili powder. It's supposed to have cumin. I didn't get cumin, and so I'm just going to throw a little Lawry's in there. Of course, salt and pepper, we already seasoned as we go. And then I'm going to add, it's at 1 3/4 cups of water. Just kind of make it up. And we can always add more water as we go. I'm going to get this up to a low boil. Once it's up to a low boil, I'm going to add in our lentils. And then they are going to simmer at a medium-low heat for about 15 minutes until tender. So let's get that going. Okay, I forgot, but we added, not chili powder. We added paprika. A little bit of paprika, some nice smoky flavor. We want it on a low simmer because we threw our lentils in there. Ooh, and I also threw in 3 tablespoons of tomato paste. I forgot to mention that. So you can see these lentils, these tiny little seeds. These are going to blow up. They're going to get nice and big, absorb all that liquid, thicken up our chili. We're going to add water to this to adjust as we need. I prefer it a little bit thicker. So it's less of a soup and more of like an actual nice hearty meal. So we're going to let this simmer for about 15 minutes, and then we'll get back to it. Alright, so I've been tasting and adjusting seasoning. Our lentils are nice and tender. So now that they're nice and tender, we're going to add a can of black beans and a can of kidney beans. I only kind of got rid of some of the liquid because we're okay with a little bit of... So after being rudely interrupted by my timer, we're okay with a little bit of bean liquid in there. We're going to let this cook, simmer for about 20 minutes or so. And then we can keep adjusting for seasoning as well. This is a great way to add fiber and protein and all that good stuff. So let it simmer and chill out for about 20 minutes. And then we're going to finish it off with a can of corn. You want to finish it off with a can of corn because if you let it sit in there, that's how they make creamed corn. So no es bueno. We want our masa to stay outside, maize to stay outside of our chili until the very end. So we're gonna let this chill out for about 20 minutes. We're gonna let it chili out by itself here. So let's talk about the 5 flavors while we're doing this. So we have salty, sweet, sour, bitter, and umami. Umami is the savory, sort of meaty sort of thing. This dish has salty because I've been adding salt. Sweet when you caramelize those onions. Bitter by sautéing everything, so there's a little bit of that bitterness from the cooked sauce or cooked vegetables. And what did I say? Sour. So the beans will probably add a little bit of sour, all that sort of stuff. So we need to add and the tomatoes can be a little bit sour as well. So I needed to balance out the sweetness a little bit, so I actually just added a little bit, like maybe 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. And that's really part of balancing everything. When something tastes good, it means that all 5 flavors are in balance. So we're gonna let this keep going for about 15 more minutes or so. Alrighty, I threw that can of corn in there, so that's gonna be warming up a little bit. It was cooking down a lot. I wanted it to be a little bit thicker, so I added about 1.5 cups of long grain white rice. So that kind of absorbed everything, and we're gonna be nice and thick. So here is our vegan chili.